Hey everyone, welcome to another Good e-Reader comparison video. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Today we have the 3rd generation Microsoft Surface Pro alongside the Apple iPad Air. So these pretty well reflect 2 of the most popular tablets in the world. And Peter, what are we doing today?
We're going to look at several things here. We'll just cycle through them. We're going to be looking at a PDF on both, the same comic, and the same book. We're also going to check out the UI as well to start everything off.
All right, being with Good e-Reader, obviously we're more enamored with these as reading devices. So we're going to look at the content ecosystem and overall operating system as well. Of course, this was running Windows 8 and it's Pro, so you get the traditional desktop experience alongside the RT interface, which will allow you to install apps that were natively built for Windows 8. So you get the best of both worlds. You can install your League of Legends game and play it on the go, or you can install games that were made for the stylus in mind, or the digital pen that comes with the Surface. And with the iPad, it's running the latest version of iOS. You don't really get a lot of customization. You could change the background and wallpapers and things like that.
You can do a lot on both the Metro interface or the desktop mode on the Windows.
The thing I like about the Windows tablets is that these all cycle. They're all animated. So you actually can get, this weather changing on demand. And that was my one problem with iOS is, you would have weather apps, but it would never really say the weather on here. The only thing that maybe changed was like the date.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so when it comes to getting apps, you have the quintessential app store.
So these are the homes on both of these guys.
So you can kind of get a sense on how it looks. Of course, you could hit the top charts and see kind of like what's trending. And this is sort of how this top chart looks on iOS. So I kind of like it. I kind of like the way that it looks. Everything's a little bit more bright and bubbly.
We also have a lot more screen real estate here, so you can see there's a lot of info that can be displayed on one screen. And when you click on an app, you get a dedicated page it navigates to, whereas on the iPad, it just kind of grays out the background, and you have to utilize a much smaller square to view your app.
Right, so it's important to note that this is a 9.7-inch display, and this is almost a 12-inch tablet. I think it's a little over 12 inches.
Exactly.
So you do have more screen real estate. And that will come into play once we start looking at the e-reading apps. So we looked at here, but of course, iTunes is probably the most compelling aspect of here, just because you can buy music while on the go.
And we have Xbox Music as a default on the Windows tablet.
All right, so we've showed you pretty well how this looks and how the gateway works to install apps. I think it's time now to look at the overall e-reading experience, starting with the Kindle.
You can cycle through everything like so. So we've made it to the Kindle.
And you could actually do that with the iPad as well.
Right.
So we can actually pseudo multitask here.
And this is the way, we haven't altered the text at this point. This is the way they both look by default. So we'll just do some page turns. They're instant, of course. You get the page animation on the iPad. You get no such thing on the Windows tab. You can do long presses.
Here it's sort of like you need to download third-party dictionaries, but you can get the Wikipedia article as well, so you can swap between the two.
You can make highlights, of course. Notes.
And there's also a number of options here for your notebook.
Yeah, exactly.
So anything that you've ever highlighted in this book or made an annotation, it's available here.
Let's look at how to change some of the text here. So with the Windows, you got to get used to swiping up from the bottom. It's kind of confusing, but you get this very nice customizable bar.
So it's interesting to see that on the iPad version we have a slider, and on here we have a bar.
You have sepia, black, white. Nothing changes live on here, you'll notice. You actually have to apply the settings. So, I mean, it is still quick, but nothing changes live. You will have to press the apply each and every time.
Whereas here, anything that you do happens
Instantaneous.
live. And that's the one thing that I like about the iPad in general, is that there's more app things that happen live.
Exactly.
You seldom have to do apply settings. Almost anything that you kind of do to augment your experience just instantly happens. And I kind of like that because it's the whole instant gratification.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a very quick tablet.
All right, so let's look at a comic book.
Doing the comic books. Cycle through. Here we are.
All right, so...
Oh, yeah. Looking pretty nice. I think I almost like the Surface better just because it's bigger. But the quality... Oh, they still have it.
Yeah.
Endless zoom. Let's go to 1 pixel. I love that. I think it's the dumbest thing ever.
So this is a G.I. Joe comic book here, and we are using the Comixology app. So this is the one found on the Windows 8 App Store, and this is the one downloaded from the App Store. So flipping pages. Oh, that's kind of interesting.
It's almost like a little animation.
Can you hold it as it's turning?
It's a slow scroll.
Oh,
doesn't
so
seem you can change. No, it's almost like a trigger. You end up changing the page by swiping it, but it does. It's not really an animation, but it is kind of in a way. So we'll do a double tap, and you get the guided view, of course. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, so guided view, I think, works better in landscape mode
than
it does portrait mode.
Absolutely.
And I think it's more designed for smartphones.
Except frames like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is looking rather nice on both devices.
Yeah.
I love when people point their guns down.
Yeah.
It's like there's trouble when they do that.
Yeah. There's a storm of brewing.
Yeah.
A gun storm. So overall, I think that they're fairly comparable.
They're on the same level.
But I think that if you're a comic lover, obviously there has to be something said for a large screen, because the one thing that I do like about the comics as they're showing here on the Surface is that there's no borders.
Yeah,
where
you're
we
right.
look at a lot of PDFs and ebooks, often you see the aspect ratio border, but you see no borders at all here.
And look at the chunky borders on the side there. You almost get like almost an inch on either side.
Yeah. So I think that this might win for comics.
Although it's not a competition, but I understand. Let's look at the Monsters Manual, because this is our go-to. It offers a lot of... All right, we have to access this from the desktop. So this offers a lot of colors, highlights, words, text, pretty much a mix of everything. And you see by default it scrolls up and down like that. So you can do pinch and zooms. Wow, the pinching and zooming is much smoother on the iPad.
Yeah, totally. I notice here it's like... It's choppy.
Yeah,
it's sort of like frame, and here it's more like seamless. So let's like zoom in on one of
the bears. Look at the bear.
See, I grew up in the country in northern Ontario, so I saw a lot of bears in our gardens, like eating our corn and stuff like that.
All I had was Berenstain Bears on TV.
They did not have fangs like that.
No, I don't think so.
These are like saber-tooth fangs, and those are like extinct.
Yeah.
So anyways,
you get a lot of
fidelity-wise.
You get a lot of functionality with this, because this is running a Adobe program made for desktop, so you can do quite a bit with it. You see, you have a lot of functionality, grab tools,
you can even save it, yeah.
Right, exactly. So because this is a PC app, you can do a lot more than you can on just with copy define period.
Search.
That's it. Whereas you can see there's even the taskbar. We have, so this is like the full. It is a PC. It's a personal computer with the desktop mode.
Right. So what Peter's looking at here, this is a legacy app. So this is just like Adobe PDF Viewer.
Exactly.
So when it comes down to it, the Surface 3 versus the iPad Air, if you had to choose, Peter, between one or the other, what would you go with?
They're different, because this markets itself as a personal computer. You can go to desktop and you get everything you can do on a computer. You can browse your folders, you can download things, you can watch movies, you can do your work on Excel, Outlook. This is a tablet. It has tablet-oriented apps. It's only a tablet. It's as if you bought the Surface and this is all you get, you know, without the desktop mode. They're so different, and the prices honestly aren't that different because the 128 gig gives you about $1,000, $1,050, and this is what for the 64, about $799, $899.
Yeah, about $800.
Yeah, so they're very comparable. It all comes down to what you want it to do. If you want email, you know, you want to do your work and have fun at the same time with this kind of interface, I'd say the Surface is the way to go. You can also do things like buy nice tactile feel keyboards and attach them and all that kind of stuff. The iPad is made primarily just for apps because there isn't that whole productivity that you get with the desktop mode.
And you touched on one of my core points is that this is like a productivity device, whereas this is just like an entertainment device.
Exactly.
What I do like about the iPad, though, is that a lot of the apps that are made exclusively for
Absolutely.
this. So you do have a lot of first-party support, but you do have apps like XCOM ported over, and more recently you have the new BioShock game that's ported over, and you don't really see that on Windows.
Nope.
I mean, you could download the original BioShock game, but I find that Windows tablets really struggle under high-performance games. Even when we installed League of Legends, it struggled.
Oh, the fan was going nuts, too.
StarCraft, like, 2.
Yeah.
You know, all those, like, even Star Wars, The Old Republic, you know, all the games that I normally play, the fan goes crazy, it overheats, and then the battery starts draining like crazy. Whereas here, you might not see like the legacy style apps that you would play in Windows, but I feel that you get better quality games on the iPad than you do on Windows.
They're made for that. I understand.
Yeah,
I would
they
say
take
so.
into account the processing power, the graphics power, and everything like that. And they say, you know, this game will only work with, you know, the iPad 4, the iPad Air, you know, the latest generation, even like the iPhone.
Yeah.
They'll tell you that this game was designed only for the better, you know, the more recent models. Whereas with this, it's really hit or miss. There's you install something, if it's a legacy app, it either works or it doesn't work.
Pretty much.
But when you install the native Windows apps, they're
right.
designed, they work fine.
Jetpack Joyride, you won't have any problem with that.
But you won't see like the great titles on the Windows 8 App Store than you would on iOS. So it's personal preference. I'm leaning more on the side of like iOS and the iPad in terms of just a pure consumerism, pure entertainment device, reading magazines, reading newspapers. I like the fact that when you download this just has tremendous magazine support, you know, and comic support, and you know, all the content that I really love. Here it's sort of like it doesn't really have like a great magazine system, a great like a reading system and things like that. There just really isn't a lot of third-party apps out there. So what are your thoughts? You've heard ours. Weigh in on the comments section below, and if you have any ideas for future videos, drop a comment for a comparison video on the Microsoft Surface 3 Pro Edition versus the iPad Air. My name is Michael.
My name is Peter.
Everybody take care. What is in there?
We have a SD card, micro, up to 32 gigabytes. We have status indicator light. This extra hole is for the latch, like so. And we have the micro USB port, which is utilized for charging the device and transferring data to and from the device to your computer. So we tap the power button to wake it up. And this is the home screen, Mike. Tell us what we're looking at.
Okay, the resolution is 1440 by 1080, so you're getting tremendous screen clarity and resolution. It also has a front lit display, and you can get this